Is a beautiful woman who is back with a vengeance for a brand new album, which is called Dirty Computer, which is out now. Make some noise one time for Janelle Monáe.
What's up, Headkrack?
Welcome back to the jungle.
Welcome. I'm happy to be here.
Hey, I gotta say first and foremost, after having spent time with the new album, it gave me so many dope feelings. I was trying to get my analogy correct when I brought it to you. I can't tell if it's from the perspective of someone who had a time machine in the future who went back to the past to deliver a message, or somebody who lived in the 80s who got a message from somebody from the future. It's like all the catchy things we loved about a lot of great music from like some of our favorite moments in pop music, like far as like, you know, the things that made Purple Rain so great, the things that made Thriller great, the things that made Cyndi Lauper dope, catchy hooks, messages, and a feeling, an overall feeling on the project. And you bottled all that in. How would you describe Dirty Computer?
Well, one, thank you so much for your perspective. You know, after listening to it, that means a lot to me. That you're enjoying it, and I think that's the most important thing, that this album reaches the people that it needs to reach. This album is a very American album through the lens of a black woman living in America. And I knew that I was supposed to make this album before my first album, The Archandroid. So it feels like my first album in a sense, because it was always on my heart and my spirit. And I just needed to make myself available for it, you know. I knew that I wanted to shoot visuals. I knew I wanted to do some world building and have a complete narrative, emotion picture is what I like to call it, that accompanied the album. Dirty Computer, the concept is it deals with what it means and feels like to be marginalized. Dirty computers represent a marginalized society, whether it's immigrants or the LGBTQIA community, women, black folks. I can go on and on and on. But they're told that their very existence has bugs and viruses, and that it needs to be cleansed. They need to be reprogrammed. And dirty computers see those bugs and viruses as attributes, as assets, as features. And so this project is to celebrate dirty computers, to make sure they feel seen, make sure they feel heard, and I hope that comes across.
You know, and that's an interesting spin, because it seems like sometimes from the outside looking in, it seems like a lot of the groups you mentioned have more power than ever before. And maybe some of it's newly acquired with some of the movements like the Me Too movement, and there wasn't really a hashtag or whatever for like the lesbian and gay community like within the last 5 years, at least that I can remember. But it just seems like in media, some of those groups are the most protected people ever. Like, you know, you can't say...
I beg to differ. I mean, when you think
it's from a place of perspective. So if you could shed the light, like, I mean, what do you see out there?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about, you know, the very existence of being black and the color of your skin can get you escorted out of a Starbucks.
Right.
You know, that's not progress. You know, that is, we still have some conversations to be had around race, around, you know, black folks immediately making someone feel uncomfortable or threatened when, you know, a young boy is in the back of their own yard with their cell phone and it's mistaken as a gun and they're murdered.
Yeah, I mean,
that's pretty heavy when you think about Sandra Bland, when you think about Rekia Boyd, and when you think about what happened to the young lady in Waffle House. You know, that's not something that we can turn our backs on and say, hey, everything's kosher, everything's great. No, we still have some conversations that need to be had. There needs to be further investigation into these matters, and I think as human beings, we have to further investigate before we judge and before we jump to conclusions around if someone is a threat or not. And for me, I think it's important, you know, to highlight these things. I mean, when I was writing songs on the project, like Django Jane in particular, it was a direct response to how, you know, black women are viewed in this society, the stereotypes that are constantly pushed on us. So I had to pick with this project who I was okay with pissing off, who I didn't care about losing, as a supporter, and who I wanted to celebrate. And ultimately, I wanted to celebrate the dirty computers.
That's what's up. So when you think about groups that you may alienate or people who may be offended by some of the things you say, who comes to mind?
Well, I mean, I grew up to a very hard working class family. And my mother was a janitor, my father, both of them, my step and my biological. My stepdad, he's just like my father. They worked at the post office. They were sanitation workers. They were custodians. My grandmother served food in the county jail for 25 years. She picked cotton in Aberdeen, Mississippi. When I think about the celebration, I want to celebrate them. I want to celebrate folks who, have made nothing into something, who built this country. And I'm okay with pissing off the status quo. I'm okay with pissing off rich folks. I'm okay with losing respectability politicians, more concerned with how you're saying something than the issue at hand. I'm okay with losing those who seek to divide us. Yeah, I can go on and on and on, but I think I wanted to focus on celebration, not on anger, not on, the enemy. I like to call it the great divide, those who want to divide and conquer through laws, through race, through so many things that don't serve us well. But it's really about celebrating those who need it most, honestly.
And the crazy thing, I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday. It seems like a lot of times when you look at the overall tone of racism, bigotry, oppression, it comes from lack of understanding. It's all rooted in the lack of understanding from the other side. We'll always do something bad to things we don't understand or feel threatened by. We'll step on a roach or kill a rat because we don't understand.
Sure.
Get rid of it. And and it seems like us as a people, we've always been misunderstood and always been oppressed because people don't understand us and understand what got us into the state that we're in right now. Systematic racism is just as bad as literal racism.
Absolutely.
Economic oppression can create conditions that, makes it difficult for people to be able to relate, But,
Absolutely.
So many places we can go on that one.